depth about the damages that these cuts go through will do to the citizens of Vancouver and, of course, your staff. I do want to start off and actually say, in some sense, looking at the budget. Obviously, budgets are about choices and about priorities, and you all know that, and the people behind me know about that. I certainly, from my union's perspective, while we want no one to be cut, we believed very strongly over the last many years that the Park Board has been very heavy, top-heavy with exempt managers. And I have to say, and I do have to compliment the board and senior management of this team for recognizing that. I think if you rewind the tape, you have probably heard me saying that over the last 5 years. So we think that your approach in actually streamlining the senior management, the management structure, is certainly the way to go, and we support you on your endeavors. I certainly in 2008, when the previous board, without any consultation, exempted every community center supervisor without any notice, we were obviously very upset. Your staff were upset, and that decision, we estimated it cost at least $300,000 a year. And in some sense, I'm kind of saying to not this board, but we told you so, that was a bad decision made by a former NPA Park Board in 2008 that has effectively ramped up senior management costs, which it's nice to see that it's being unraveled, because it's simply, you can't afford to have the senior management staff that you have. You need frontline workers, like the workers that I think who are many behind me, who are actually protecting the public citizens in this city. I want to talk about. It's unfortunate that we're actually having a conversation about cuts. What we should be having a conversation about is actually the level of proper tax increase to actually support the public services that the Park Board and the City of Vancouver actually supplies to residents and businesses. And quite frankly, from our perspective, is that the artificial 2.5% tax increase that City Council or City staff has come up with, we believe is too low. Quite frankly, there's nothing else to cut. I don't need to tell this board, I don't need to tell the senior management, and certainly no, I don't need to tell the people behind me that Vancouver has faced over the last many years cuts right across the board impacting services. There's no more low-hanging fruit. It's the point where we need to have a conversation about what level of taxes does it take to actually provide the level of services that we have. And I have to look at the city's own public survey that they did on the actual for the City of Vancouver's budget coming up. And right now we have over 84% of citizens saying that they are very happy with where we're at with services. We have businesses saying that we're very happy. And I find it fascinating that no one wants to pay property taxes, but we all know that we need them to keep our community centers and our libraries open. About 8 out of 10 residents are willing to pay at least a 3% tax increase to keep services without cutting. 2/3 of businesses are saying that they'd be willing to pay a 3% tax rate to keep the services. So I say to you, and I would ask that you actually go back and actually talk to City Council, is we're questioning. Quite frankly, we believe that the level of taxation is too low. We shouldn't have to be going through here and prioritizing and pitting lifeguards against about closing down pools, about cutting grass less. We should be talking about what the real problem is, and it's the level of taxation. I think if anything tonight, I would ask you to go back and actually think about what level should be fair, should be determined to keep the programs up in Vancouver. I'd say 2.5% certainly doesn't cut it. And so I ask you, quite frankly, is none of these cuts, quite frankly, should go ahead. Closing lifeguards, shutting lifeguards simply doesn't make sense. That is ridiculous. Cutting 900 hours across 20 community centers. Which goes against the core mandate of the Park Board to keep and promote public services and recreations programming in Vancouver. So I ask you to do not look at the cuts, look at what the real problem is, and that's the inaccurate, the improper level of taxation that Council is starting this budget process on. I thank you for your time. Thank you very much.
5 minutes to speak. Okay, thanks very much. The Vancouver Lifeguard Association would like to thank the board very much for the opportunity to speak this evening. The VLA is a non-profit organization whose members volunteer their time and equipment to events such as the Celebration of Light, the Subaru Half Ironman, and the Vancouver Triathlon. Additionally, we run a junior lifeguard camp during the summer at Kits Beach, and we recently launched a junior lifeguard club at Hillcrest Park. I'd like to offer to the commissioners a petition that we've recently been able to compile. It's listed with over 700 signatures gathered over the last 3 days from others who are concerned about these cuts with regard to the beaches in Vancouver and the lifeguards that work on them. My name is Claire Nicol. I have 12 years of experience working as a lifeguard on the beaches in Vancouver and currently hold the position of President-elect for the Vancouver Lifeguard Association. The VLA understands the budgetary constraints that the Park Board faces. We understand that efficiencies are needed in order to balance the budget under which you must operate. However, we also believe there must be some misunderstanding, some lack of focus between the facts and figures and the reality of the value that lifeguards represent on these beaches, and certainly any beach in Vancouver. With all due respect, the removal of lifeguards at Spanish West, Extension, Jericho, Sunset, Second Beach, and Trout Lake will not provide the Park Board with the efficiencies you seek. The first order of business for a lifeguard is prevention. On any given day, we will deal with hundreds of incidents and more than a few accidents both on and off the water. If you remove the lifeguards at Spanish West, we will leave unattended children who are too close to the drop-off, mere meters from the water's edge at low tide. We abandon skimboarders with everything from broken toes to broken legs. For the tourists whom we invite to the city of Vancouver and for whom English is a second language, we forget and leave stranded on the sand as the tide speeds in. At Jericho, the people who have been coming to this beach for years will not see the man who knows their name and their children's name. The man who can walk onto the beach on any given day, be able to predict the tide, the current, the amount of people coming to the beach, when they're going to be there, when they're going to leave, and how many people are going to be needed to guard that beach. People will swim in wonder the strongest currents in the system, become fatigued, panic, and disappear unseen. The folk festival will result in numerous casualties when the over or under-stimulated festival goers hit the water. Sunset Beach faces a constant riptide. Swimmers will attempt to cross a body of water that will drag them into Falls Creek or push them out into English Bay if they're not hit by a boat first. The last thing a drowning swimmer will see at Second Beach is the face of a lifeguard who will be guarding the pool but be unable to assist because there will be no equipment or lifeguard at the water's edge to make the rescue. Trout Lake is perhaps the most dangerous of all, not because of the water quality, but because this is the destination of choice who are often completely unattended. Children who knew the lifeguard better than their own families will be saved by neither. If for some reason the potential for loss of life does not make a convincing argument for seeking efficiencies elsewhere, there's the loss of hosting World Championship triathlons such as the ITU races. This event, as well as the Subaru Half Ironman and the Vancouver Triathlon, bring in hundreds of thousands of dollars to the community. If the Park Board does not want lifeguards to work, they most certainly will not be available to volunteer.
You have 1 minute.
In closing, I would ask the commissioners if they will be satisfied with their term in office, if not as council members or politicians, but as people, parents, sisters, and brothers. Their decision here and now will result in the injury or death of even one human being. We're here to tell you that it will happen. We see the potential every day, and we prevent it from happening. Will you?
Any questions? Any questions for the delegations? No questions for the delegations? Thank you so much.
They're down Carol.
In town, Vancouver Lifeguard Association, and Mike Cotter, Jericho Sailing Center Association. Someone who is not a stranger to the park. Thank you for coming out. You have 5 minutes to speak. The yellow light will go on in minute 5.
Yeah, my name's Kim Townshaw, and I'm a member of the BC Yukon Branch Licensing Society NLS Committee. I'm also a member of the BC Yukon Branch Competition Committee. I'm a member of the Vancouver Lifeguard Association. I'm a registered Canadian life-saving athlete. I do work for the city as well, but I'm here tonight more as a taxpayer. I definitely have concerns about removing lifeguards from the beach. This is a big issue. The Commissioner Coe said earlier tonight in one of the other things that he wants to make the parks available to everyone. I'm not sure how you're going to be doing that when you're removing all our safety supervision from some of these locations. That's really uncertain to me. I understand we want to be efficient and we need to stay within our budget or make efforts to stay within our budget. Like I say, I'm a taxpayer, so that's what I want to. I don't necessarily always want to pay increased taxes, but I know that my family, my own family's in the back, that they can go to the beach and be safe because there's someone watching out over them. And I've seen some of you guys on the news the last couple of days saying that your parents and your family members too are going to the beach, so I'm curious as to why it's not more of a concern for you. We've also heard from the Parks Board management saying that we're choosing to streamline to our more popular locations, but I think that the emphasis really is on the more popular. These are not unpopular locations that we're talking about cutting. These are still popular locations. The 5 that you're talking about keeping funding for are definitely more popular, but the other ones see people all the time. We clarified earlier about the 182 water-related rescues, but and also clarified that there were other minor first aids that happen all the time, but what I think is left out of those statistics are the rescues that happen on the beach, in the parks, in the parking lots, on the streets. The question came up earlier, would a lifeguard go and respond to something that's out of their area? And the answer was yes, of course, and the lifeguards do all the time go to the parks, to the streets, to the beaches. They're not just doing 182 rescues over 4 years. I think if you were to pull the statistics on that, you'd find that lifeguards are doing hundreds, if not thousands, of first aid people that have cardiac arrest, where there's no pulse, they're doing CPR, we're talking about broken legs, we're talking about strokes, diabetic emergencies, life-threatening conditions that require advanced life support, paramedics, etc. And lifeguards are there dealing with those right away, where if they hadn't been, potentially those would result in deaths. And that's a big concern. They also said that we're sort of streamlining into our popular destinations and that there's other locations where there are swimming beaches close by. I don't know. As a parent who's gathered all my stuff and gone to the beach and paid for my parking, to figure out that I have to take my cooler full of food and my lawn chairs and my toys and my kids and walk 15 minutes to the next beach where there's supervision because there's no parking there because everyone's gone there already. To me, that makes it unappealing and not something that I want to go do. If you've never packed the whole family around before, then maybe you don't understand, but when you have a 15-20 minute walk, it can be a huge ordeal, and then you're there, you enjoy your day, now you've got to walk back 15-20 minutes with your family. If you're just out by yourself and you're young and you're single, a 15-minute walk, maybe nothing to go to the next beach for a swim. Maybe you're going to run or cycle or rollerblade there, but with kids in tow, it can be significant. So I would ask that the commissioners think about that as they think about accepting these proposed cuts.
You have 1 minute left.
Yeah, I just want sort of in conclusion just to say that, there's been lots of numbers and stuff brought up about some of these beaches being less popular. concerns about Trout Lake being closed, concerns about lifeguards being out on rainy days. People don't drown on sunny days. People don't die only on sunny days. People come swimming to the beaches every single day. You may walk by the beach and it's pouring rain and there isn't anyone there swimming, but other times there are people that are swimming. There's people in wetsuits out swimming triathlons, getting ready to train for that. And so I think it's kind of, I want to stress that we need to be aware that people are swimming at the beaches all the time, not just on busy times or at busy beaches. They're always out there trying to enjoy our city because it's surrounded by 3 sides of water.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Cotter.
Good evening. Thank you. My name is Mike Cotter. I'm the General Manager of the Jericho Sailing Center Association, and I'm here to speak on behalf of the citizens of Vancouver who enjoy safe ocean recreation against the proposed cuts to lifeguarding on Vancouver beaches. For the past 24 years, I've been a senior instructor of the Jericho Rescue Team, a 40-member crew of volunteers dedicated to providing small, naturally powered craft safety and rescue services to the users of English Bay, Vancouver's largest, most distinctive playground. During that time, we overlapped many, many times with the fine people, the professionals of Vancouver, the lifeguard on Vancouver beaches. We're very familiar with their operation. We've got beach lifeguard stations on either side of the Jericho Sailing Center, Jericho Beach and Locarno Beach. Got a very good understanding of the importance of lifeguards on city beaches. One of the regular challenges that we face is keeping boats and swimmers apart. It's a deadly combination. A swimmer hitting the head with a boat is a dead duck. Particularly in the vicinity of Spanish Bank and Jericho Beach, 2 of the very areas that you're considering cutting tonight. During the civic workers strike a few years ago, I hate to bring that up, during the civic workers strike a few years ago, every pool, every community center was closed. Because the strike occurred over the summer, Vancouver's beach lifeguards were declared an essential service by the city. And I've always felt that. I've always felt that in the 24 years that I've worked side by side with them. I've seen it. I've seen them every day. Back then, the city realized the importance of beaches to its citizens. And I took great note with what Commissioner Cooper said about the charter. Clean up the language, and I think it still translates today. It's understood that unlifeguarded beaches would not deter ocean recreation. Jericho, you take the lifeguards away from Jericho Beach, it's going to be a busy swim beach. Just an unlifeguarded busy swim beach. At that time, the city understood the risk to public safety and the city's legal liability. You wouldn't leave the doors open to the Vancouver Aquatic Center unlifeguarded and let people swim there unattended. Vancouver beaches serve more citizens than all of the community centers put together at a fraction of the cost. It doesn't take much to operate a beach facility. You need clean washrooms, a little bit of garbage pickup, some grooming, but the foundation are lifeguards. What?
Is it a computer or is it
And as Kim here just said, and I've only just met him here, but as he said, it's not just the 188 rescues. They're not only highly skilled and trained in life-saving. They're supervisors, peacekeepers, safety educators, impromptu swim instructors, bylaw enforcers, positive role models, and city ambassadors. The loss of lifeguards on these beaches will change the character of these beaches. And I've witnessed many interactions where lifeguards were required. Wait, keep the peace. I'll go down there. My instructor was. If there is trouble at a beach facility, people can count on their lifeguards to quickly restore and maintain order. Unguarded beaches would lose the peaceful community atmosphere that has been enjoyed for many decades. Ocean recreation is increasing in popularity. We're going the wrong way with this, folks. It's increasing in popularity. More people are recreating in the ocean and will continue. This is a public safety issue in a distinctively Vancouver recreational area. And before you make one cut to guards, you should reconsider every other option that does not compromise public safety. I know it's tough. I've seen it tough the past few years. But there are many that you haven't made that don't involve public safety the way these proposed cuts do.
You have 15 seconds.
15 seconds, give me 15 seconds more for the microphone. Okay, I'll end it very quickly. Lifeguarding levels in Vancouver beaches not only need to be restored from these proposed cuts, but they need to go back where they were a few years ago to meet the growing demand for this type of recreation. I'll leave you with a funding suggestion. I was involved 15 years ago when pay parking was put into Jericho Beach, and we were told that part of that revenue was to pay for lifeguarding services at Jericho Beach. And in 15 years, Spanish Bank has had free parking. And if ever there was a user pay way of going about dealing with the problem, the people who benefit from lifeguards on Spanish Banks are the ones you're asking for a few bucks to put in the meter.
So much. Actually, we do have a question from Commissioner Cooper and then Commissioner Nova. Excuse me, do you think that maybe we could just turn the mics off? If that's...
It's the delegation mic off. Delegation and hostess are both off.
I can't hear it.
Just,
Turn it off.
yeah, we'll try it, Ellen, just one sec. Folks, check your Blackberries, make sure they're not near your microphone, because that also tends to transmit. All right, give it
My question is for Mr. Cotter. Obviously, we've spent a lot of money rehabilitating the beach at Jericho. And in your opinion, do you think we'll have more people down at that beach with the expanded beach area and even more people enjoying the water at Jericho than we've had in the past?
Yeah, there are two problems that are created at Jericho. One is the new beach. And remember, you didn't spend the money to create the new beach, you spent it to get rid of a public safety hazard and an environmental hazard. But you got a free new beach. Yes, there will definitely be more users there now, and what we've seen, and this is a problem, you can talk to Glenn Schultz or Sean Healy about this. Over the last couple of years, we've seen the growth in the sport of stand-up paddling, and we've seen people trying launching things from everywhere, right through swimming areas. They think they can go. You know, the Jericho Beach will become a lawless land if you take lifeguards away from that there, and you're right next to a boating facility where we're going to teach 10,000 people how to boat safely. It's a really dangerous prospect, and I ask you, please do not do that.
Commissioner DeGenova.
I also have a question for Mr. Potter. From your experience working down at Jericho Beach, do you also see that having people down there sailing, that after they're finished sailing, they also go and enjoy the beach? So the sailing actually, you know, it's hand in hand. So you'll see more people using that beach. And then also, if per se Spanish Bank is busy, more people will move to Jericho Beach. Has this been your experience?
Yes to both, and I'll just clarify one, and this is from my own kid experience as a child growing up in Vancouver, but I've seen it many times, is you get families down with young children enjoying the beach life at Spanish Bank, and the wind comes up, and the wind chill just cools those kids off, and of course they're more susceptible to hypothermia. If they go to Jericho Beach, it's tucked in out of the wind, and we see that a lot.
Yes, follow up. Just another question regarding the lifeguards at the beach. Can you give us an example of perhaps the time that you've seen a lifeguard be able to prevent a situation? Because it's not just about saving lives, it's about prevention.
Sure. Well, I've been there for 24 years, so I mean, I can probably relate dozens of interactions that I've
Well, maybe
seen.
one.
Well, a typical one would be the Jericho Pier. And for young invincible people like to dive off it despite the signs. And there are rocks below, and at shallow tide levels, you're going to break your neck. Many times I've seen lifeguards resolve high-tension situations between people, dealing with people who are mentally ill, dealing with people who are intoxicated, belligerent, potentially dangerous. And, you know, they're not armed. They don't do it with pepper spray or tasers. They do it with tact, diplomacy, professionalism. These people are ambassadors for the city. And you're going to change not only the safety, but the character of Vancouver swim beaches if you take them out.
Thank you. Sorry, came out. My question's for Mike as well. Thanks for sitting in there. Now, Mike, you know the visioning process at Jericho probably as well as anybody here at the table. I'm wondering if you could talk about what you foresee after the phase 2 of the work is complete. How do you foresee the beach and the interaction between the swimmers, the sailors, and how the lifeguards play a role in those interactions?
Well, as I mentioned previously, lifeguards in our Jericho rescue team work very well together. And we're we don't want to see a boater, whether it's from us or somebody from the general public who happen to launch at Jericho Beach. We don't want to see anybody in amongst the swimming heads. And how I see it going, again, with stand-up paddling, that's a perfect area. And it's also a perfect area. I think this is where the park board wants people to go because it's access to safe rescue boat facilities that are non-taxpayer funded, free. So, you know, we can take care of the people once they're out in the water that we really, I mean, we can't alone try and keep them away from the swimmers. And as I say, people are going to swim there, whether it's lifeguard.
I just want to clarify that the area is largely shared. Like there is no, there's no fine line in the water that says swim here and boat here.
There has been sort of, you know, I mean, the wharf actually was that to some extent. But if you look at the layout now, there is a natural, there's a groin on the east side of the wharf that's going to be a natural divider. And I would suggest, and you know, again, this is a discussion, I guess you'll see me back here because we didn't get to have this, but the park board needs to officially designate that as a use of that beach. And I would recommend you designate it as a paddling beach because it's a little easier to keep the paddlers away from swimmers than it is for windsurfers or other sail-powered craft.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any more questions for these delegations? All right. Thank you so much for coming out
Thank you very
today. Thank you. I'd like to invite Dale Miller, Royal Life Saving Society, and Natasha Zakas. I don't know if I said your name properly, but is Natasha available?
She won't be attending.
She won't be attending, okay. Then I will go on to Commissioner Ian Robertson. Former Commissioner Ian Robertson. Thanks for coming out. So you have 5 minutes. This will go yellow when you have 1 minute.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members, pleased to be here tonight. My name is Dale Miller, Executive Director, BC Yukon branch of the Life Saving Society. You may know us as Royal Life Saving Society in the past. Bronze Medallion, Bronze Cross, Lifeguard Training, member of the Commonwealth Organization, and also the Canadian member on the International Life Saving Federation. I should ask first off, did you get a copy of the letter that was sent around earlier today? Yes? Okay. I'll pass copies around in case, because that's what I'll be speaking to